Tree Talking Time is brought to you by Conkey's Outdoors and Stone Creek Hound Supply. Be sure to check them out for all your hound hunting needs.
Welcome to Tree Talking Time, where we talk all things tree dogs, from the smallest feists to the largest hounds, treating squirrels to bears and everything in between. And from time to time, we might even run a little fast game.
Welcome back to another episode of Tree Talking Time. This episode is going to be the first of at least a couple that are going to be a little different. It's definitely a little different than what we normally cover here with hounds, curs, feist, those types of breeds, and kind of hunting tree dogs. It's talking to a couple different falconers and the dogs they use. So we're going to be talking about some falconry, some different dogs they use, and I just find it super interesting. I was able to go last February and go to the New Jersey falconry meet with today's guest, and so got to experience that and got to see some of that firsthand. And so I sat down with him and we were able to record this one, and it just so happens that I have another one or two of these lined up. So this will be the first of a couple. Also, just want to remind everybody about the summer giveaway. That drawing will be probably August 23rd or 24th. So make sure you hop over to treetalking.com, buy a shirt to get entered. And the first place is an ultralight briarproof jacket by Stone Creek Hound Supply, a JC custom coon squaller donated by Redfern Hound Supply, a 1-year subscription to Full Cry, and second place is a coon squaller and some swag from Conkey's. So make sure to go grab a shirt and get entered for that. Hope you enjoy. Thanks.
I was out flying my Oplo one day. I think my Oplomato Falcon.
So you can't be like using falconry jargon. We're a bunch of dog people. This is not Falconry Chronicles, Falconry Told, The Sporting Chance, all those falconry podcasts. We don't know that stuff. So you gotta think we're dog people.
Oplomato Falcon. I don't know.
What is that?
It's a bird native to like very southern Texas, and there's not many of them left. But down into South America.
Okay.
It's warm tropical climate falcon. It's not very big, not much smaller than the lanner you have behind you.
But, which is, I don't know.
Flies about 450 grams in the Oplo.
For us non-falconry people, it's about the size of a Banny chicken.
I don't even know what that is. So there you go.
It's a small chicken.
Okay. But, yeah, she flew at that. And we were out trying to catch these starlings in this big field, but it's got these big dirt mounds that are just covered in grass, and you can always kick little birds out of them. Mm-hmm. I'm flying her, and we missed everything. So I'm like, all right, so we're just doing the lure flying and getting her to swipe at that and do the exercising with that, get her to burn energy. And she was flying up above me, and I see these people off in the distance, and I'm like, all right, I don't care. And then she like flutters up and then goes, and I'm like, what do they have that she's suddenly interested in? So I'm running because I didn't know, like, my luck, they would cut like their little parrot loose or their little rabbit or something.
Yeah.
And she's going to hurt that thing. And I'm running. And I see her take something out of the air and go to the ground. I'm running. I'm like yelling, don't hurt my bird, don't hurt my bird, don't hurt my bird. And I see these guys running, and he takes his hat off and he like throws it at the ground trying to hit her with it. And he missed. And as soon as he missed, I like yelled. And then he like finally got close enough to where he could hear me. He turned around. And she took off, and he had a little remote control RC plane he was flying, and she took it, and it was like one of those like styrofoam kit planes.
Yeah.
And she took off with it. She carried it like almost 300 feet away and hid behind a bush. So by the time we found her, she ripped the prop up. She ripped the wings all apart. She like ruined it.
She's looking for some meat.
Yeah. And yeah, I was not feeling sorry because he just threw the hat at her. But I let him take pictures of it because I'm like, please don't ask for money for this plane. And they didn't ask, so I didn't offer. But
how old were you?
This was a year ago, 2 years ago, something like that. So I was 20 okay. Or 21. Yeah.
What's better than being like a kid out there?
Yeah. Yeah, well, a kid you can definitely get away with not paying. When you're a little older, you might have to cough up some money.
Because you've been involved in falconry for how long now?
Almost 7 years.
And you're, what, 22, 23?
22.
22. That's, most people look at a 22-year-old and they're like, oh, yeah, it's not, they don't think, oh, yeah, you've been involved for 7 years. And
yeah,
a very I don't know.
It's not like they can look at you like what the bird you're flying and like, oh, all right, that's a high skill level bird.
Mm-hmm.
Be like, he must have been doing this for a while.
Yeah, we had that whole discussion of what skill level birds were because I was super confused on that back in February.
It's not even so much like skill level as it is just you gotta have a different mindset when you're working with them. Like, what am I doing that's causing like her aggression or her like lack of aggression? And you gotta like change what you're doing, which some falconers can't do.
Gotcha. Yeah, this whole falconry thing I think is pretty cool, and it kind of started. I'll give Casey some props. It was him that I found first. So supposedly we're supposed to get together this season, but we'll see. He stood me up last time, so.
Yeah, don't hold your breath on that one.
Which, for anybody listening, New Jersey Falconry on Instagram. He's got a pretty good Instagram.
There's a lot of
feed.
rabbits in Jersey.
And then he also has like I said, we mentioned some podcasts at the beginning, The Sporting Chance, him and Aaron. So.
Yes, they've had some good falconers on so far, so
Yeah.
It's been good to listen to.
But then that's how I found you and found out you were pretty local to me, which is, seeing the fact that, especially within hounds and the dog world, like we are not in the middle of that by any means. We are on the extreme edge. And so that's where I thought it was pretty cool that, you were so close. And luckily we were able to get together this past winter and got to see your little dachshund right here, Dickie. And what's your bird's name?
Lizzo,
yeah. Work. It was pretty cool. I have to say it was.
You get to see a few different catches, I think.
Yeah.
She turned out to be a very good bird. Very, very good bird.
Before we're going way too far into this, I didn't even give you a chance to introduce yourself.
Oh, my name's Harrison Dalby. I've been a falconer in Maryland for almost 7 years.
Yeah. What made you get into falconry? Like, especially, were you 14, 15 years old?
Yeah, I was probably 14 when I originally, like, my parents, like, I've been asking for a couple years prior to that, but then at 14, my parents were like, all right, if you still want to do this in a year, we can get serious about it. So a year later at 15, in like 9 months, because I remember driving with my dad, but like I drove with on my permit I just got to my sponsor's house, and they thought like that was going to be it. Like that was going to shoo me off. That was going to scare me away.
Yeah.
But it didn't. I went there and he had like 4 outdoor enclosures here, and each one was like 20 by 20 with a different bird in each one. And then he's like, all right, here's my great horned owl enclosure. Here's my Siberian lynx. And he's like, show me all these crazy animals he has. And then he was like, so you want to do this? And I was like, yeah. And then come winter, I followed him around for a year because I waited to have my license. Because you can't be a very good falconer, in my opinion, without a driver's license.
Yeah.
Because you got to go to different spots. Like I got a farm up here, and then you go 30 minutes this way to another farm.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah. So I waited to get my license and followed him around for a year. I was at his house working, just trying to be like stay a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like shoveling zebra shit at his house, cleaning cages, like doing all this crazy stuff. And, yeah, it's just come that the next spring when I got my license, I got my took the test and got my falconry license at that point.
What made you like interested in falconry in the first place, though?
I was seeing a lot of documentaries on TV about it.
Okay.
And then I went from that to this watching videos, a whole bunch of videos of what at the time was there on YouTube. Which I feel like there's a lot more now than what was there then.
Oh, I'm sure.
Like way more. Like then it was a bunch of grainy stuff. There was a couple stuff that was a little nicer.
Mm-hmm.
But most of it was like grainy old stuff that some old fart took a camcorder out in the woods and filmed, which is still cool, but like not nearly as nice as what people get to see nowadays.
Yeah. No, I think that's really interesting, and like the fact that you got involved so early.
Yeah, it was nice. It was nice being able to do that when so I could dedicate a lot of time into it when I didn't have as much responsibilities as I do now.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, what else? Especially if you're going to get. It sounds like you got involved really heavily. 16 years old, you've got nothing other than school going on, and
yeah, and I was homeschooled too, so I had a lot of time.
Just, there you go.
Just like see ya, just left and go down the bottom of the neighborhood and kill squirrels. At the time, my neighbor behind us used to have a whole bunch of trees, and I could literally just open the enclosure door, and they would go up there, and we could just kill squirrels in the neighbor's front yard.
What do your neighbors think of that?
Oh, they love it. He
Okay.
hates them, so he's like, "Come kill all these squirrels."
Okay. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
So, what was your first bird?
It was a red tail. So in
Okay.
Maryland, if you want to get into falconry, you can either start with a wild-caught juvenile red tail, a wild-caught juvenile red-shouldered hawk, or a wild-caught juvenile American kestrel.
Okay.
So if you really want to hunt hard, it's like a red tail because we got a
Mhm.
lot of squirrels, and like that's what you start with is a red tail.
Gotcha. And how many birds have you had through the years?
5, something
Okay.
like that. I've had a couple Harris hawks. I've had to put one down due to injuries from squirrels and stuff like that. I've cut the red tail loose and just
Okay.
set her free.
I didn't realize until we hunted back in February that that was such a, I don't want to say common thing, but it kind of is, that
Yeah.
injuries are not uncommon, I should say.
Yeah, and they're very expensive once you start going to the vet.
Yeah.
Like that bird, I spent at least $1,200 on at the vet trying to save that toe, like that rear helix toe, and like that's
Okay.
the only thing she's got back there. So she loses that, she can't grab anything with that foot.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Well, we can amputate now." I'm like, "We're not doing that." I took
Yeah.
that bird home and put her down. She's like, if she was this big like mutant monster of a female, I could have sold her to like a breeder.
Yeah.
And she could have been bred, but she wasn't huge. She wasn't impressive in really any way besides in the cast that I had her in.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it's just, not the quality of life I wanted her to have.
Yeah. And especially a bird that's, I mean, I would imagine just like our hunting dogs, like once a bird is hunted,
Oh yeah.
like they're not going to be happy just being put up in a pen and left there.
Yeah, they're not gonna be happy even just flying, like just falling around doing a baitman or whatever. They want to kill something. Like that's what they're like known for. Like that's their routine. Is they're big routine based animals.
And you just brought up abatement. What is abatement?
So bird abatement is using birds of prey to push out or catch nuisance birds like seagulls or pigeons or starlings.
Okay.
There's a lot on the West Coast that do a lot for like starlings at like big vineyards.
Okay.
But on the East Coast, it's more chemical plants. There's a guy who does the Ocean State, New Jersey boardwalk. He also does Coca-Cola factories, a bunch of stuff like that.
Okay. No, I just, you said that word and I just didn't want to gloss over that because I know I didn't know what that was.
No, yeah. It's
So-
it's fun off-season activity, but it's not real falconry, I wouldn't say. Falconry is hunting with a bird. And sometimes you're hunting because you're like trying to catch them. Like that Apamato I had, once we were done the seagulls and it was like, I don't know, 11 o'clock at night, we would go in this big, like 50,000 square foot warehouse and close it up. And they had pigeons in there. And it was like NASCAR watching her chase these pigeons through all these warehouses and like the scaffolding and everything.
That's awesome.
It was a blast. We could kill like 4 pigeons that night. And it was like kill everything in the building.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot of fun.
Now, what are you flying now?
Just the goss.
Okay.
Just the goss is my plan for the season. Like the Lanner Falcon behind you, she's getting sold. I'm getting rid of my Harris. She's getting sold.
Okay.
They're both going Wednesday.
Gotcha.
But like that Harris, I didn't do her justice this past season. So it's like, give her to somebody who wants to fly her.
Mm-hmm.
That bird, I've killed
Yeah, I didn't.
so many different things.
I
with
only
that
knew
animal.
you had your Goshawk Lizzo. I didn't
Yeah.
realize you even had another bird.
Yeah. She got the short end of the stick this past season. But I've killed 12-pound Canadian geese with that bird.
Oh, wow.
A bunch of squirrels, a bunch of rabbits. I've caught ducks, but never been able to put them in the bag. Like she's caught them and then landed in the water with them, and they'll just pull her right under.
Oh, okay.
But that goshawk, they can't pull her underwater.
Gotcha. What's the weight difference between a Goshawk and a Harris?
So the Harris flies at about 930, and then the Goss flies about 1250.
And
1,250 grams versus
Grams.
930 grams.
that's like crazy. That's not that big of a difference.
You wouldn't think, but if you saw them like side by side, it's a pretty big difference.
But I'm just saying, like, we're talking, like I said, you're talking to dog people here. We're talking,
Yeah. You put them next to each other, and the goshawk's foot can wrap basically all the way around my wrist with ease, and that Harris can't do that. Nowhere
Okay.
close. Her talons are giant, meaty talons, her body's
Mhm.
much taller. She's a much, much bigger bird.
Gotcha.
But She's fun. I killed a lot of stuff with her the past 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
But on to bigger and better things.
There you go. So, what does a hunt look like for you?
I go out. I found a bunch of local farms this past season. I don't know, within 20 minutes of me, and they're all loaded. And every farmer grows plants that rabbits just annihilate in the spring. So I was like, great. He wants them all dead. I want to kill them all. So I'll just go there, and we did very well. But we go out and we cut the dog loose. Depending on the spot, I can either just cut the bird loose and she'll follow me through the trees, or I can keep her on the glove. So it's a real big open like meadow type deal, which the one farmer does, and he cuts these beautiful trails through it because he has all these birders come through.
Okay.
And the rabbits run across those trails, and that's like her window to like just bring the hammer down on them. And that's what she does. So we walk through those meadows. I got her up on the glove. The dog will start yipping, or he'll kick one out, and she'll just follow, and then boom, she'll just crush it. And then once we kill everything in the meadow, or at least flush everything from the meadow into the woods, that's when I'll put her up in a tree, and then she'll hunt from the tree.
Okay.
But she's a very fun bird to fly.
And what kind of dog are you running?
A mini long-haired dachshund, my foofy lap dog of choice.
Yes. Looking at this dog, you would never think he was such a little killer by any means.
Yeah, he's out to kill the rabbit just as much as the bird is.
Like, you would never think that. Like, he's such a cute little, like, I don't know, 6 or 7 pound dog. I don't know what he weighs.
10 pounds.
10 pounds. Honestly, I wouldn't even said he was that big. So, but just very unassuming for sure.
Yeah, they're definitely killers. And then like Teddy Moritz, she has like her stud male is 5 pounds, and that's like better than that dog's better than Dickie in most ways, and he's half Dickie's size.
That's crazy. Which, for anybody that's not familiar with the dachshund world, which I realize most people aren't, Teddy is like the OG. She's the one that really.
She is the original. Like,
yeah.
She's the only reason why we have working dachshunds in the country.
That's crazy.
Starting it back in the 70s.
And if you saw this lady, you would never think that. She's very unassuming looking.
Yeah.
You know.
She's a killer. Her whole family calls her Grandma Death because she kills so much.
That is hilarious. But she's awesome, and I hope to eventually have her on. That is in the works for sure, because she has so many cool stories. Like, we stood there and talked for, I don't know, an hour and a half or whatever last February, and just story after story after story. And then somebody would come up, and then they would start talking, and she'd say another one, you know.
Yeah,
so.
She knows. Her memory is insane. She remembers dogs. She remembers like their whole pedigree from 20 years ago. She'll be like, "This dog came to this competition. It's out of this. It's out of this. It's out of this," and it's insane. She remembers the dogs' names. Remembers the parents' names.
Wow,
it's a wealth of knowledge.
Mm-hmm. But that's not where Dickie came from.
He did not come from her. His grandparents came from her. So Dickie is technically her great granddog or something.
Okay.
Because basically every long-haired dachshund you can trace back to Teddy at one point. Is either a dog she personally owned or, helped somebody get, she had a hand in it.
Yeah.
But he's out of Aaron Kincaid. It's just Gamekeeper Dachshunds on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
He bred Dickie. First time I went out hunting with Aaron was also the first time I went hunting with Teddy on her 75th birthday. So 2 years ago now.
Okay.
I was like talking to him about it. I'd already been out with Casey at that point, so I've seen dachshunds a little bit.
Mm-hmm. And Casey has dachshunds too.
Yep, he's got a really good red bitch, which is out of Teddy Moritz, and went out hunting with him, Teddy and Aaron. Aaron brought 2 or 3 dachshunds, and that was like the real game changer, is seeing like a little pack of them running at the same time through the briars.
Yeah,
that was a huge like game changer, because then we were able to do like one dachshund, you can do like bigger briar patches with yourself and kind of get stuff out. But you got a whole bunch in there. You can just sit and play on your phone. Because then we had Harrisocks up at the time, and they just follow the dogs. Like, they don't even follow us. Like, Teddy cuts her Harris loose and cuts the dogs loose, and they just dump her in the woods, and then they just go. And then she just follows along slowly until she hears a rabbit squealing.
Oh, wow.
That's all she does, which is hilarious. But that's what she enjoys is like dogs just going off and finding the rabbit and the bird following them.
Yeah.
Um,
She's put it all in motion and just lets it go.
yeah, she did all the training. She just likes to watch the dogs and the bird work together.
Conkeys Outdoors is proud to be a sponsor of Tree Talking Time. Family, hunting, tradition is the Conkeys motto. They understand the importance of passing down the tradition of hound hunting. They are a family-owned business that treats you like family. They also understand the importance of having the gear you need when you need it. Conkeys carries everything for your next hunt, and it ships to your door quick. They also offer great warranties on all tracking systems and financing options. Check them out at conkeys.com. You can also use the code TreeTalkingTime5 in all caps to save as well.
So I went out with Aaron. I was talking to him about it. I was like, "You have any other puppies around?" He's like, "I actually got one left over. I was going to keep for myself." But he's like, "If you want it, I'd be willing to sell it to you." And I was like, "All right, let me think about that." So like a month later, I ended up going down to North Carolina and buying it from him,
Good deal.
bringing him back. But Guild, we do a lot of digging on groundhogs. We'll put Dickie down holes. That's what he's really seems to prefer to excel at compared to other stuff.
Once again, you would not think. I've seen like pats and yogs be done, put on groundhogs or coons in the holes, but I don't think until I met you that I'd ever seen anybody do that with a dachshund. Well, especially a mini dachshund,
Yeah.
Granted, theoretically, I knew that that's what they were bred for, but
Yeah, Tay's been doing it for a long, long time. But she did it back before they even had the finders. So she was like having to drag her ear along the dirt to figure out where the dog is. And then that's where you dig. But now we got, the ferret finders we put on them.
So is that like kind of like a tracking device, basically?
Yeah, it's like a telemetry. It's like as soon as you get above the hole, it'll beep a whole bunch. And that's where you kind of dig down.
Gotcha.
But hers will tell you the depth. I mean, we've had Dickie like about 6 feet underground before on a groundhog. That's a far dig. Luckily, it was very good dirt to dig with, but sometimes you're not that lucky.
Yeah, no kidding. I talked to one terrier guy about possibly coming on it, and we'll probably still have him on. But I think it'd be fun once. I don't know about
it's a workout.
Doing it more than once.
It's a workout. Teddy does it. Teddy will dig some grown men.
Oh, I'm sure she will.
She gets a rhythm, and then she just sticks with it and like doesn't stop.
Mm-hmm.
But we went out digging in 95-degree weather, and that was not fun. Because then the dogs burning up, and it's like,
yeah,
that was a pain. But we did it. We got one eventually. But Teddy wants me to come out now. She's got access to some peach orchards that are apparently just infested with groundhogs.
Oh, I'm sure.
So we'll go out there and have some fun.
There you go. So I don't know even where to go with this. Like, it's because it's just so far out of my realm of like what I normally talk about. But like, what is something that people should know about falconry and working with, dogs and falconry, all this working together?
It's quite the juggling act because you gotta like, especially if you're hunting really urban areas, because you gotta make sure the dog doesn't range into the road. You gotta make sure the bird doesn't range into a neighborhood because the rabbit, dog kicks a rabbit under a fence and now the bird's in somebody's backyard.
Yeah,
on a screaming rabbit.
Which actually, that's when we hunted together. We were hunting kind of right on the edges of, industrial parks and stuff like that.
Yeah, so you gotta you gotta watch the dog, watch the bird. Dickie doesn't open, which is nice for areas like that because Aaron's got some dogs that he can't even run in spots like that because they get the faintest whiff of a rabbit and they'll start screaming.
Okay.
And that's not great because the dachshund opening just sounds like you're beating the crap out of it.
It doesn't have the prettiest mouth, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's not great. So you got to watch that because, like I said, Aaron and Teddy even have all had people come up to them and be like, why are you hurting that dog? And it's like, I'm not hurting it. I'm going to hurt it though. But no, it's like them opening, it sounds awful, especially when you get like a whole pack of them and then they all start going off. It's really bad. Mm-hmm. But you make do. It's with the goss and the dog is a different dynamic than a Harris hawk and the dog or a red tail and the dog. Because the goss she's an imprint, which means I raised her from 2 weeks old till now.
Okay.
So she is imprinted onto me and sees me as a parent. But Dickie, she sees it as a sibling. because
Okay.
she was kind of raised with him too. They I fed them next to each other, so they kind of have a decent relationship.
Mhm.
But in the wild, if the sibling doesn't piss off from the other sibling, they're gonna try and kill each other. And Liz is big enough; she could probably kill Dickie if I let her.
Gotcha.
She would just clamp his mouth shut, and he would die very slowly.
That is crazy.
But so whenever I trade her off a rabbit, I'll throw the tidbit out, which is a piece of rabbit or quail or whatever, and she'll let go of the rabbit that she just caught and grab that, and I can bag the rabbit,
Mm-hmm.
and then she'll come up to the glove. But if she can see Dickie, and like she sees him just like moping around, be like, "What's up?" She's gonna be like, "You just stole my rabbit. I'm going to murder you." And it doesn't matter as long as the ground's flat and she can see him. He could be 200 feet away, and she's like,
geez.
"You just took my rabbit. I'm gonna run you down, and I'm gonna smoke you." And that's what she'll do. And then you'll see him. He's trying to get to cover under the briars and everything. And he's got pretty good now about. Which took a lot of trial and error on his part. Just as soon as that bird comes down on the ground, like if he sees me call her, you'll see him get low and like sneak away and just hide.
Okay.
But like I couldn't intervene in that because then she would think I'm like attacking her or whatever, and then she would get like all defensive and aggressive with me. So I was like, "Run, Dickie, run! There's nothing I can do. You're on your own, dummy." And you think you'd learn a little quicker, but some dogs are like some dachshunds are extremely mentally soft. So like a bird hits them once, then they like hear the bells for like a month, and then they just hide under your truck. Dickie's kind of dumb, so it's like
He's a hound.
yeah, he just lets it go, and then it just kind of like as soon as the bird's on him, he could be like screaming or whatever, and as soon as she gets off him, he's like, "Oh, all right, back to rabbits," and then just kind of goes back in the briars like it didn't just happen, which is great. But at the same time, I wish he was a little more had a better memory, I guess.
Yeah. That is funny.
But yeah, he just puts it out of his mind, which is great because this Goss is not crazy tolerant of him.
Now, it's like when you were hunting with a Harris or a red tail. What was that like?
Much easier on the dog.
Okay.
Once I got the Harris acclimated to like not, because for the longest time she just treated Dickie as like a rabbit.
Okay.
So then I had to teach her. Actually, use this Steve Lehman tidbitting method, which none of these guys will know. But Steve Lehman's probably one of the best Goshawkers in the U.S.
Okay.
Out of Washington State. And Teddy Moretz asked the question, is like, how do you get a bird to stop hitting a dog? And he went through and he's like, all right, keep the bird on the glove, and you like have her tethered to your fist. Every time she just looks at the dog calmly, give her a tidbit, like treat that and reward that for like not doing anything. And then after doing that, then she tolerated him long enough to where like she wouldn't hit him, I don't know, for an hour or whatever. But that was plenty of time for me to get a rabbit up, and then she could catch the rabbit.
Yeah.
And then she eventually was like, oh, all right, this dog's here to flush rabbits. And then she just started following him because she's like, this is a buddy, not food.
Yeah.
Which was such a joyful day because it was she would come down and put him into a roll. And I was like, this is not great. So then
that's definitely, I would be concerned like having such a small dog,
Yeah.
Which we talked about this back in February, why you like such small dogs, you're flushing mainly rabbits and getting into tight spots.
Yeah. Well, the rabbits go to ground in the wintertime and dachshunds can go to ground. So we just put the dachshund down the rabbit hole or, densely packed brush piles. Like you got to see that one day. And then they'll get them out, which is big game changer. 'Cause some days you only get that one slip.
Yeah.
And then you got to get that rabbit. So then you get that dog down that hole and you can get that extra shot at it, which is sometimes is the difference between going home with something in the bag and going home with nothing in the bag.
Yeah. Which, I don't know, it's a double-edged sword of having that small dog that's capable of doing that, but at the same point, you have a dog that's looks like prey. Instead of having, maybe a medium-sized dog, that wouldn't look like such a prey to a bird.
You got a medium-sized dog, though. I've heard stories of like just like yogs or pats or lurchers just killing the people's birds. And that's, you got to weigh your odds. It's like, do you want, a dog to, get scared or do you want, your bird to get killed? You got to weigh it. And a lot of people will say who have had like yogs kill their birds. From what I've been told, they've gotten yogs from lines that are just breed for aggression, which does not make for a good falconry dog. Makes for a great hog dog or something like that.
Yeah.
Not a great dog that you need to like have restraint when it's well, bird catches the rabbit makes noise, and most dogs have trouble controlling themselves when they hear that rabbit.
Oh yeah.
So then it just sets them off, and then they just jump on your bird, which is not great.
Gotcha.
But you need them to like be respectful.
So we come back to that, accidents and injuries getting with the birds. It's like, you're trying to have this relationship with a dog and a bird.
And you're trying not to burn the relationship with either of you three. So
yeah.
It's,
you have birds that can kill dogs. You have dogs that can kill birds.
Yeah. It's
it's a very big challenge, I would imagine.
Yeah, and Dickie's bigger, even though you just say he's very small. Like compared to most dachshunds around here, he's probably one of the bigger ones around. But if like Lizzo hit Kip, Teddy's 5.5 pound male, that's like she could probably carry Kip a little bit. And that wouldn't be great. But like let alone not even a carry. Like I've heard stories back in the day of people's red tails, because red tails, they come and they just hammer. Like they'll kill rabbits on impact. Okay. But they've hammered like people's like small dachshunds, and that's just killed them on impact. But
yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know if I can handle that. I like my dogs a lot more than I think I would like a bird. But at the same point, you put a lot of time and effort into the bird too. So
yeah, if not more, because dachshunds are like they're easy to train. It's all field exposure, really. Once you get like good recall down, just cut them loose. It's like they kind of figure it out.
Gotcha.
But yeah, birds definitely a lot more time.
How much time does it take to like get a bird from? I don't know. Either I guess if you like with Lizzo, you raised her, so obviously that growing process takes time. But just say a wild caught bird to working with a dog in the field,
probably a month, give or take.
But that's like a month of like solid work, probably.
Every day.
Yeah.
Every day you're sitting with it, especially at the beginning, you're sitting with it like 6 hours a day. You get home in the evening, you sit there on the couch and you just watch TV, and you eventually, the bird gets calm enough to where she's like not horribly scared of you, and will sit on the glove, and then you pet her chest with the back of your hand, so she like doesn't, if you just put fingers, she's just going to bite the crap out of your fingers. You do the back of your hand, and then you kind of go around, do her back a little, and then you try and offer her food. If she doesn't want to eat that day, she'll be a little hungrier tomorrow, and then she'll eat tomorrow. And you go from there. And if she wants to eat day 4, she's got to hop a foot to the glove. And then, day 5, it's like 3 feet. You just keep doing that.
Okay.
Just keep going from there.
Like I said, it's something vastly different than anything I've ever done. So,
yeah. Speaking of dogs dying, hole work is
I'm sure
something a lot of falconers don't do. Like they avoid it because it just flares their anxiety like through the roof.
Oh, well, you just said, Dickie was 6 foot underground. Sure.
6 foot underground, screaming at a groundhog that I can hear is clearly biting him as he's biting it.
Yeah.
And he's good enough because some dachshunds, they got so much drive, but not a lot of brains to back it up. So they'll just run down in the hole and grab it like it's a rabbit and grab it anywhere. A groundhog can kill a big pat or a big yog in the ground.
Yeah.
Because they'll just cave the tunnel in on the dog, and then the dog will suffocate to death. They'll do that, or groundhogs can churn in their own skin. So in the hole, the dog can't really grab it. So if it grabs it by the cheek, it can still churn and like bite the crap out of your dog. And they got these giant ice picks for teeth.
Yeah, they do. That's for sure.
So the biting, and they'll cave the tunnel in on your dog. So Dickie gets in enough and bite it enough, and then kind of back off. But he'll do that, and then most of the time he can work it out of the hole and make it run out, and then we'll have that lurcher there to catch it.
Okay.
Which works out pretty well. Saves us a lot of digging.
Which is why you need a lurcher.
I know. I need something. We'll see. It's still sitting at Aaron's house. Maybe one day.
Drive to North Carolina.
I know. It's only 7 hours away.
Yeah. Come on. What are you waiting on?
Yeah. It's not great. If I don't have my hands full enough.
Exactly.
But, yeah, I mean, that lurcher, what he's got there is out of Sean O'Neill, which I'm sure some people listening to this.
Sean was actually on the podcast. We talked about hunting bears with mountain curs.
Yes, he was. He grew up with Teddy. I talked to Teddy's husband about Sean at like their house, and he was telling me all these stories about Sean in his youth.
Yeah, Sean actually mentioned Teddy.
Yeah. So those are fun to listen to. But he's out of one of Sean's working greyhounds, and then another one of Sean's dogs, which is a working collie.
Okay.
And according to Sean, they're going to be phenomenal dogs to whoever owns them.
Mm-hmm.
As long as they get worked.
Yeah.
Because Sean breeds these like real high drive dogs that need to be worked. And if you don't work them, they're going to find something to work.
Yeah, which is going to lead to problems.
Yeah, especially when you got foofy lap dogs running around.
For sure.
But that collie in them, though, that's like what Teddy says is the game changer with like getting these big lurchers to play nice with these foofy lap dogs. Is that little bit of collie.
Makes them biddable.
Yeah, it also gives them like that herd mentality of like they kind of protect those dachshunds the best they can.
Okay.
And a little bit more brains to where they're not just like, if you got like a big stag Saluki and it sees your dog kind of backing out of a hole, it's just going to react and just immediately kill your dog.
Gotcha.
Which has happened to other falconers. It's like, so that little collie, like Teddy used to run 3/4 greyhound, 1/4 collie.
When you're saying collie, I'm going to guess border collie.
Border collie or any type of working collie.
Gotcha.
But
not some like Lassie collie.
Yeah. So Aaron, I think, was originally going to do an Idaho shaggy dog, which is a type of collie that is known for being like super hard.
Yeah.
He was going to do something like that with his original lurcher plans, but now he's doing anyway. Teddy used to run those, and they had that herd mentality. And one day she was out hunting with her dogs somewhere. I don't remember where. And this coyote ran past her, ran past the lurchers, and grabbed the dachshund and kept running. And spat the dog out a little later down because those lurchers, as soon as they heard that dachshund, they were chasing this coyote through the woods. The coyote spat the dachshund out, which later died. But then Teddy was just sitting there with her dachshund, and those lurchers were just gone. They were on that, she's caught coyotes with those dogs.
Yeah.
She'd go out west and run blacktails. She's got all kinds of fun stories to listen to.
We're going to make it happen. Don't trust me.
Yeah, we'll get out digging too. We got to show you what that's about.
Yep.
But yeah, she's got quite the history. And then you talk to her about other people. She's like, yeah, I've been out with him. He screamed like a little girl when we were digging, and she's hilarious. You get her in the right mood, she'll throw some dirt on people.
That's funny.
A blast to listen to.
For sure. No, I had a fun time just sitting there for a couple of hours there after that New Jersey meet. Which if you haven't. If you go on my website, there's a link to my portfolio, and there's an album from the New Jersey Falconry meet, which is when we got to hunt together and where I got to meet Teddy. And so,
yes, great pictures of the birds.
It was a lot of fun, that's for sure. But then, not only do you have falconry and hunting rabbits with your falcon, and then you're digging, now you're going to cities and ratting.
Yeah.
To throw something else into the mix.
Yeah, I've been doing that since Marshall, as soon as he saw I got Dickie, then he was like, you need to bring that dog down here. We need to see what that dog can do. And for those of you who don't know, Marshall runs like the DC ratting group. Like he's the founder of it. He runs it all. He runs the Facebook group page, Renegade Ratters, I think.
Gotcha.
So if you're in the area and want to go ratting, that's the group you hit up. If they'll take you out. At least let you know when they're going out.
Yeah.
And so as soon as Dickie got his adult teeth in, then I took him down there because I'm not taking a puppy. So 6 months old, like his canines were like almost fully done. I like took him down there, and he caught this rat that was like so big compared to him at the time. He was rolling on the ground, like wrestling it, and it's biting the crap out of him. He's biting the crap out of it, and he came out on top. But it was a good time. And then ever since then, he's just like only gotten better. Now he like knows his role is like the flushing dog because he doesn't have the legs to catch those like big rats in the open like that.
Yeah.
Like they'll blast, but he knows he can go under the dumpsters and then they just all run out. And then that greyhound and the Patterdales, everything else will just catch him up.
Yeah.
So they love it when he comes down because they'll put him up.
That's funny. It's crazy. It's something I never thought I would even be talking to somebody about was ratting, in the city.
It'll make you hate DC. That's what it'll do. It's like you go behind all these restaurants and all of their back doors are open and the rat, you just see all these rats running in and out of the back of these like kitchens.
That is nasty.
And it's like, I'm never eating in DC again because it's horrible.
But
But
I can't say I frequent DC despite the fact that we don't live that far from it, like ever.
yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, I mean, a food truck is you're probably safer with a food truck.
That's funny.
But yeah, it's a good time. It's to keep them sharp. We go to Adams Morgan and we go to Georgetown, which is like 2 more uppity areas, especially Georgetown. Like we'll be there and there'll be like 8 Lamborghinis that are all straight piped, just setting off car alarms, and it's very wealthy. But then they keep the homeless down, as opposed to Chinatown, which I went one night and will never go again because all the human that's just everywhere. I'm like, I'm not having my dog walk through this.
Yeah.
Because this is nasty.
That is very nasty.
But I don't touch them at all, even when we're in Georgetown or Adams Morgan. Like I put the dog cage out of the truck and he walks in, and I carry it in the house and dump him into the bathtub. And like, because he's going under the dumpsters, they're dripping underneath the grease traps, everything.
Yeah.
And these beautiful girls come up. They're like, "Can I pet your dog?" I'm like, "Sure." And they touch them, and then they immediately regret it. It's hilarious. Yeah.
Stone Creek Hound Supply, a family-operated business, boasts over 50 years of involvement in hounds. For over 2 decades, they've been dedicated to supplying high-quality hound gear. Their reputation is founded on unparalleled quality and exceptional customer service. Crafted from U.S. source materials, Stone Creek clothing is meticulously manufactured right here in Pennsylvania. Through their commitment to excellence, many of their customers have become lifelong friends. So what are your big plans now?
Just hunt with that goss this season. I want to go up to New Hampshire. I'm trying to work that out with Casey. Go up to like northern New Hampshire and catch some snowshoe.
Okay.
That'd
be pretty cool.
Yeah, we found this place. They do guided hunts, but then they kind of do like semi-guided hunts where they tell you like they'll take you up and they're like just cut you loose there and they're like go this direction. But like the fully guided ones, they bring their own beagles and everything else. Yeah. Which we don't want because we don't want their dogs messing with our birds.
Yeah.
But we'll go up there, and that's like I want to catch a because that's kind of what like wild Siberians go after. Okay. Which is what I got. So that's what I want to do with her.
That'd be cool.
Fun.
Yeah.
Do that. I want to get snow geese. Go on the Eastern Shore in Maryland.
Okay.
Catch snow geese. That's my other big goal this season.
There you go.
But that and at least 200 kills. That's the other goal. Like this
for one season or total?
One season.
What were you at this year?
This past season I hit 101.
Okay.
So this season I want to like double that basically.
That's a lot of hunting.
Yeah, it's not as long as she picks up from like where we left off last year, it should be no problem. Because like last season, it was like got to teach her how to catch rabbits, got to teach her how to catch squirrels, and that's just putting game in front of her and watching her miss and being sad.
Gotcha.
Because you cut her loose and you're flushing squirrels, and she's got to figure out how to like maneuver and grab and do all that other stuff in the air.
Yeah.
Which is all trial and error.
Now, what's the falconry season? Like obviously state to state varies, but like for Maryland, we'll just stick with Maryland. Like
squirrels start end of September, I believe, in Maryland, and then rabbits start beginning of November. We have a really late rabbit season. But our seasons have the same start date as normal hunters, but we have extended seasons. So our rabbits and squirrels both ends the 31st of March.
Gotcha.
So we go a decent amount longer than regular hunters.
Gotcha. Now, like on a good day, what's a good day look like for?
At the end of the season last year, it was probably 2 or 3 kills.
Okay.
That was probably the averaging. But we could get up there in kills in a day. We could get the 5 or 6 kills in a day pretty easily.
I'm just saying, like, by and large, like it seems like if you just want to go hunt and fill the freezer, falconry is not necessarily like the most efficient means. Like you're better off going out and, gunning for game.
Oh yeah, 12 gauge is much easier.
Not to mention all the work, but just efficiency wise. But it's just a whole other level of complexity, and obviously you enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, I gave away a lot of rabbits because my freezer had been full for a while. I mean, I gave Teddy probably 20 or 30 rabbits at
Okay.
least. I caught 9 rabbits at the Jersey meet. And whatever Casey and Aaron caught, we all gave those to her because she only feeds her dogs a raw diet.
Mm-hmm.
And she also had a litter of puppies. And at a young age, like those puppies are eating on a rabbit carcass.
Yeah.
And so they're pretty turnkey. If you get a Teddy dog and can't get it on rabbits, it's your fault.
Gotcha. Now, speaking of that, like what does like taking care of a bird look like? You know, what do you have to have? Just super basic.
Right now, I'm feeding a lot of quail because I got that lantern falcon, and it's just at the top of my freezer right now.
Mm-hmm.
That's expensive, but that's like $250 a day.
Okay.
Per bird.
Wow.
So that adds up. But yeah, we'll do that. You cut it up. You can thaw it out either in the air or you could do it in a bucket of water because then it won't develop maggots or anything as you're thawing out this raw meat.
Hi, Dick. I'm getting
You can show
kisses
him down.
from Dickie.
But yeah, it's I got those 2 setups out there. They're 2 16 by 16 enclosures. One's a jump box setup. For falconers know what that is. But non-falconers, it's a tethered setup with a tether in the center of a lower perch, and then it's got an upper perch with a 4 foot by 4 foot by 4 foot box that she can go up in to get out of the elements.
Mm-hmm.
And then if she wants to get out in the sun, she can go on that lower perch, and it's got this big bath pan there
Gotcha.
that she can go into.
And you actually live in a residential area, so it's not even like you necessarily need a big farm or a lot of property to necessarily own a bird.
Yeah, no, you could probably even do like a 10 by 10 if you lowered the jump box some, so the bird wouldn't have to be on like such a long leash.
Mm-hmm.
Because the tether is there, so the bird can't touch any of the wire or the chain link around it.
Okay.
Because it'll just shred its feathers, and you need all that to be able to catch game.
Yeah.
Like you break a tail feather, they all support each other. So you break one, and then it's like a domino effect. They'll just all start breaking next to it.
Yeah. I found a friend.
They're like cats. It's such a weird animal.
It's all right. Dickie wants to go home with me, don't you, Dickie? I got lots of rabbits you can hunt in my yard. Yeah. He would like my house.
Yeah, he probably would.
Lizzo would like my house too. I got a big field behind the house. Cut her loose.
Gonna have to come up this fall then.
Definitely. So, well, we definitely need like another good story.
Well, it's always like, I don't know. There's a lot of getting into fights with people in falconry. If you're hunting rural urban, there's a lot of people that like will come up to you and just immediately start cursing you out.
Well,
because they think you're just yelling at a wild bird and like harassing a wild hawk in the wild.
What's funny is the day that we hunted, we had like a whole group of, like it was snowing and like this family was like sledding.
Yeah.
They walked up to us like, "Can you even be here doing this?"
Yeah. Yeah. So that was like very nice compared to other times. We've been out with my sponsor and like some lady came out and was like, yeah, she's like, I work here, and we had permission to be there. Like he gave a big donation to this park.
Mm-hmm.
To hunt there because he did this bird show, and he's like, I'll give you guys a donation and you let me hunt here. And they're like, sure.
Nice.
So she came up and he's like, do you work here? She's like, I'm a volunteer. He's like, oh, so you don't have a life. He's like, you piss off. And she's like, all this stuff. And it's like, I don't know. It's all, that's the con of like being in these very urban states.
Yeah.
Is you can't get away from people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Most of it's just urban encounters, I would call it.
Yeah.
But we've had some great flights on ducks this past season. I've never caught ducks before, but with this Goshawk, I've caught ducks down on the Eastern Shore. There's this guy that has way too much money apparently, and he's got all these giant impoundments on his property that he manages, and he releases like $80,000 worth of ducks a year.
Oh, jeez.
On his property. Went hunting there, and he already shot basically all the ducks with him and all his buddies. But there's still some left, and they bring in wild ducks. So we're going there because their season ended, but our falconry season is still going. And we like those. They drain the impoundments down to like a foot, so you can just walk through them. And ducks are kicking up like pheasants in Europe. And cut the bird loose, and we had some big like 1,400 foot chases on them.
Oh, wow.
That ended in a catch, and it was a very good time.
No, it's definitely interesting, and I would say if you know a falconer, you should definitely go out with them just to see it and experience it. I will probably never own a falcon. Just I am not that dedicated, and I don't like birds that much. I think it's awesome, and ever since I was like 13 and I read My Side of the Mountain, I always thought it'd be cool to be a falconer, but never took it seriously enough to, go to ask my parents and go to a sponsor's house and do it all.
Some random old guy's house. Yeah.
Well, I did the same thing with dogs.
Oh, yeah.
I found a guy's website, and I was going to college about a half hour from his house, and I literally went contact him, and I went to the college to do my placement testing. Me and my parents drove out to his house to meet him, and then right after I started school, I basically lived at his house.
Yeah.
So same kind of thing, though.
Yeah. It both take a lot of commitment and a lot of your life away from you.
Yeah.
Because, to do it right.
And at the same point, it's not even with dogs, you can have anybody come take care of a dog. You can't just have somebody just come and take care of.
Especially that Goss. In her setup, I'm always worried, that, if you do it, if you just throw food in there, she could fly out and it could just hit her and then fall out. And then everybody here at my house is too scared to even go in that cage because rightfully so. That bird's horrifying. And especially now, she doesn't even really like me coming in there because she's all fat and hasn't been messed with a whole lot. And she's scary. But as soon as you get her out, she'll mellow down and get all sweet with you.
That's funny.
But in that cage, though, she's psychotic and horrifying. So I got all these falconers. I'm all right, I'm leaving. If something happens, I'm giving your number out. You need to pull up and do something for me here.
Yeah.
But most of the time I'll get babysitters. We got at least 10 or 11 falconers in this county alone.
Oh wow. Didn't realize that there were so many.
Yeah, too many. Too many. But so there's a few two really that I actually trust with my birds.
Mm-hmm.
One of which being my sponsor, and the other one he lived 3 minutes down the road.
Okay.
Nice. So I'll be I went away down to Florida. I was here's my lantern. I took that whole perch in his house and put it in his kitchen. It just sat in his kitchen all weekend.
Gotcha.
Same with the Harris. All those birds besides the Goss are anybody could take care of those birds. They're golden retrievers compared to that bird.
Well, we running out of space, so we're gonna have to wrap this up. But anything else?
No, that was about it.
I really appreciate you taking the time and let me stop here today. And
yeah, of course.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Tree Talking Media. And until next time, keep them talking in the timber.